Hi students, welcome to Alphos e-learning chemistry classes for second year. Now in this session we are starting a new chapter that is nothing but solid state. Solid state. So this is the first session, that is we are in session number 1. In this session we are going to learn what are the contents that present in the solid state for the competitive exams like NEET or G Mains or G Advanced. First of all, we have to go for the content that present in solid state to study in +2, +1 and +2 level. And here in solid state we have to study different types of solids, that is nothing but crystal solids. Different types of crystal solids we have to study, and thereafter we have to go for Bravais lattices, and before going for these Bravais lattices we have to study as the elements of symmetry, and these elements of symmetry are somewhat useful in finding different kinds of crystal solids, and which are classified into different types, and finally the classification has been finalized by Bravais. So they are known as Bravais lattices. And then we have to study the cubic crystals, because in our syllabus we are having these cubic crystals, and in these cubic crystals we have to study, or we have to analyze, that is the analysis of unit cell for these different cubic crystals. And in analysis of unit cell, first of all we have to find the position of lattice points and the number of lattice points and the number of spheres that are possible, that is nothing but the number of ionic pairs that can present in unit cell, it is in case if it is of ionic crystal. And then we have to study the mass of unit cell, the volume of unit cell, and thereby the density of unit cell, and thereafter we have to find the relation among the radius of the atom or ion with that of the unit cell edge length. And then even though the crystals are of having the cubic structure, all the atoms are not totally occupying the total volume available in the crystal, that is in cubic crystal. And here and there, because the atoms or ions are supposed to be spherical in shape, and when they are spherical, when they are kept in cubic crystal, automatically some gaps we will find among these different atoms or ions that present. Those gaps are known as voids. So after excluding the void space, the remaining space which is occupied by the atoms or molecules is supposed to be calculated in terms of packing fraction. So depending on the arrangement or orientation, that orientation or arrangement is known as close packing. The close packing system, we have to study that close packing also. Close packing, and depending on the close packing, the packing fractions, and that packing fraction and the close depends on the close packing. During that we are coming across with voids, different types of voids and their position we have to study. And then after completion of all these we have to go for different ionic crystal models. That is nothing but a peculiar different types of crystals are formed by the regular or the frequently used ionic substances. Those crystals are given certain names. Say for example, best known, you are aware of that NaCl is known as rock salt, and thereby NaCl crystal structure is known as rock salt crystal structure. Like that, different ionic crystal models are there, and we have to study and that what are the crystal models. And then after this we have to enter into the defects. Defects are, these are also known as imperfections. Defects or imperfections in crystals, because crystal, even though seem to be of perfect in the orientation or in the arrangement of the atoms or constituent particles, but actually no crystal is perfect. As we know from third law of thermodynamics, it is assumed to be at 0 Kelvin only the crystals are supposed to be pure, but indirectly it indicates that it is not possible to reach that 0 Kelvin. So at other than 0 Kelvin, automatically any substance, any crystal is supposed to have some sort of imperfection, that is impurity, and that imperfection, or that is nothing but defect, is we have to study. How many types of imperfections, how many defects we can observe in crystals, we have to study. And thereafter the last part of this is nothing but properties of crystal solids. Properties of crystal solids. Here we have to consider the electrical properties, and we have to go for magnetic properties, and then we have to go for dielectric properties. With all these we have to study, we have to cover in this solid state. Clear? These are the content that present in our syllabus for +1, +2 based competitive examinations. Clear? And now, before entering for the details of different of all these, first we have to define what is solid state and how we can identify the solid state. That means what are the characteristic features of solid state, we have to study. So let us start with this one, and next in coming sessions we are going to cover all these related to competitive examination and the model problems and the concepts related to all these, similar to that of previous chapters. Here also we are going to cover the content, and thereby my sincere advice is to follow this in a schematic manner. We arranged them, and thereby it is suggested to follow every session one after the other, because I arrange all these different contents, that is concepts related to the solid state, interrelated to each other in a schematic manner, and thereby when you are following my classes one after the other, then only you can have highest grip, thorough idea about the total concepts present in the solid state. Okay, let us start the lesson. Here, solid state. Actually, matter, it exists in 3 states. Even though you are having the 4th state, it is nothing but plasma state, but we need not go for that one. Here we are considering the regular states. And you remember, state is defined by the external factors like pressure, temperature, is it not? So here that state where the matter exists, 3 types of states we are observing. Already we studied in junior enter 1 state, that is nothing but the first one is gaseous state. This is gaseous state, and the second one is liquid state. There in gaseous state we covered some sort of liquid state properties also, and now coming to this, it is nothing but solid state. It is solid state. And now among these, how a substance or how this matter can exist, what are the parameters to find whether the matter is existing in any of these state or not, or how these different states are possible for the matter, what are the responsible factors to determine or to frame this state of the matter. Let us go for it. In gaseous state, all these states nothing but simply in a single word we can say that intermolecular forces are responsible. Molecular forces, or here we can say intermolecular or ionic forces are responsible for these different states. That intermolecular forces are very less, almost negligible in case of gases. That's why the molecules are existing far apart from each other. Clear? And when they are far apart from each other, they are existing in gaseous state. And then when compared to this gaseous state, these intermolecular forces are somewhat considerable intermolecular forces. That make it is nothing but we can say that in gaseous state very less, and in case of solid they are very high. very high intermolecular forces are existing when the matter is exist in solid state. So simply when we are defining this gaseous state which is of having very less intermolecular force of attraction and solid state with very high intermolecular force of interaction, simply we can say that for liquid state, in between these two, the intermolecular forces can exist in liquid state in between these two. Clear? So like that. And now our study is related to the solid state. And what is a solid state? Simply we can define this as the state of the substance or the matter where the constituent particles, here just you follow this word, constituent particles, that is particles that are present in the crystal, that are participating in the building of the crystal. Is it not? Constituent particles, it may be atoms, it may be molecules, or it may be ions. These are considered as constituent particles. So the state of the substance in which the constituent particles are held together very closely, and they are closely packed and held together with strong intermolecular forces of attraction, is said to be solid state. Again I am repeating because it is the definition for solid state. The state of the matter where the constituent particle may be atom or molecule or ion, that are closely packed and held together, and they are held together with a strong intermolecular force of attraction, is said to be the solid state. And what are the characteristic features? When they are strongly held together, automatically the compressibility is almost zero. That is, incompressibility is one of the characteristic feature of this solid state. And second one is when they are of not having any compressibility, that automatically that factor, that property is otherwise known as rigidity. They are having highest rigidity. Rigidity is highest for this solid state. And next one is they are having definite shape, and thereby they are having definite volume. It is not possible. Compressibility is nothing but, I think you know compressibility. Compressibility is nothing but decreasing the volume by applying high pressures. When we are applying high pressures, if the volume of the matter or the substance is decreasing, that property is known as compressibility. It is incompressible. That means when we are applying high pressure on solid, instead of decreasing the volume, it will change its shape. That is, the shape of the that solid will change, but not there is no decrease in volume of the solid. So hence the definite shape, highest rigidity and incompressibility, and then one more factor is nothing but highest mechanical strength. These are the characteristic features of solids. We can observe with this one, they are having highest intermolecular forces of attraction, and thereby that leads to incompressibility, nothing but rigidity, and because of this they are having a definite shape, and they are having highest mechanical strength. These are the characteristic features of solids. Clear? And now coming to the classification, how many types of solids are there? Depending on the constituent particle arrangement, that is how they are arranged, whether they are arranged in a regular manner, that means in a systematic manner, or whether they are in irregular manner. Depending on that, these solids are classified into two types. Types of solids. These are two types. One, amorphous solids. Amorphous solids, simply we can say that it is powdered form. And second one is crystalline solids. crystalline solids. And now first let us define amorphous form. This amorphous form, it is nothing but the powdered form where the molecules are the constituent particles. Constituent particles are not arranged in an orderly manner. They are not arranged in an orderly manner. That means they are arranged irregular. And because of this disordered manner, they are not giving any geometrical form to this crystal, these solids. Are you following? The constituent particles are randomly arranged. They are not arranged in a systematic manner. And because of that, there is no geometry for these amorphous solids. Clear? And now, how they are formed? Just it is nothing but the melts. Melts means when a solid is fused by strong heating. When it is melted, after fused, that molten condition substance is known as melt of the substance. And when the melts of substances are suddenly cooled, when it is, that is a substance, a solid substance is strongly heated and it is of getting into fused form. And now if suddenly we decrease their temperature, that is when they are suddenly cooled, sudden cooling, that's all, simply. But just after making it into molten condition, if suddenly the temperature is dropped, that is suddenly they are cooled, then these amorphous forms of the substances will form. That is the condition. In this amorphous form, the constituent particles are randomly arranged, and because of that their random arrangement, there is no geometrical form for these amorphous crystals. And then crystalline solids. Here reverse to this, that is the constituent particles are arranged in an orderly manner. That means here they are arranged in a systematic manner, and because of that systematic orientations, they are creating some sort of geometrical forms. They are of having geometrical form. In case of amorphous, no geometry, but in case of crystalline, they are having certain geometry because the constituent particles are arranged in a systematic manner. Their position, their orientation is in a systematic procedure, and thereby they are giving some sort of geometry to the crystal. Clear? And now in solid state, we are going to study about these crystal solids. You remember, our study includes the study of crystal solids. And now the study of crystal solids is known as crystallography. You remember, crystallography is nothing but the study of crystal solids. Clear? And now these crystal solids again classified depending on the bonding nature among the constituent particles in the crystal. Depending on that bonding nature among the constituent particles in the crystal, these crystal solids are classified into different kinds. That is classification of crystal solids. Just let us take each and every one. Here they are classified into one, ionic crystals. Simply from the name itself you will know what will be the bonding force among the crystalline particles, that is nothing but constituent particles in the crystal, ionic crystals. And second one is covalent crystals, and third one is metallic crystals, and fourth one is molecular crystals. And you remember these molecular crystals, again two kinds. One are A, It is van der Waals crystals. Van der Waals crystals. And second one is hydrogen bonding crystals. Hydrogen bonding crystals. And one by one, let us consider the features and the examples for these different kinds of crystals. Just here, ionic crystals, and the name itself indicates that it is of having an array, that is nothing but the arrangement, the network, array of positive and negative ions that are held together with strong electrostatic force of interaction, nothing but ionic bond. So the constituent particles are strongly held together with strong electrostatic attractions, and because of that strong electrostatic attractions, nothing but ionic bonds, these are considered as ionic crystals. Clear? And in these ionic crystals, when they are in solid form, just you remember, when they are in solid form, these ions are not free to move, and thereby in solid state they are insulators for conductivity. Insulators because of no free ions exist in solid form, but they are soluble in aqueous solution, that is nothing but they are soluble in water and any other polar solvents. Already we know the ionic compound properties from chemical bond in junior inter or in 11th class, is it not? And now here these ionic crystals can dissolve in water or any other polar solvents, and once it is forming the solution, they are having free ions, and because of the free ions in solution form and in fusion form also, in fusion again these ions are getting free. In these two cases they are conductors, they are the best conductors or excellent conductors because of free ions that present. Clear? The best examples for ionic crystals, let me write here, it is nothing but NaCl, MgO, NaCl, MgO, CaCl2, KNO3, like that any ionic compound can be considered as the ionic crystal that possess both cation and anion. And now coming to covalent crystal. These covalent crystals, these are having the constituent particles that are held together strongly, but they are unable to exist as individual molecules. Simply in our regular terms we can say that these are nothing but giant molecules. Giant molecules, because in giant molecules, simply let me give one example. You know the differences between CO2 and SiO2. One of the most important difference is the CO2 can exist independently. CO2 molecule can exist, but SiO2 is unable to exist. It is of existing as a giant molecule like this network structure. If you remember or if you recollect from your junior inter fourth group, it is arranging like this. In a continuous manner, it is of bonded with others like this. It is of supposed to have giant molecular structure. Such type of giant molecule, they are having covalent bonds. They are not having any ionic bond, but the individual atoms or molecules do not exist. Such type of compounds are considered as covalent crystals. The best known examples are from graphite, diamond, graphite. These two are having carbon atoms, but the atoms are not existing independently in that. So this diamond and graphite and simply silicon, SiO2 and SiC, silicon carbide is also the best example for covalent crystal. And then BeCl2, beryllium chloride, in solid state it is having polymeric structure, and boron nitride, all these are the best examples for covalent crystals. And then metallic crystals, simply the name itself indicates that the bonding, the force between the atoms are nothing but metallic bond. The bonding force between the atoms in these metallic crystals are nothing but metallic bond. Metallic bond is neither covalent nor ionic, but it is a special kind of bond that is binding all the metal ions with strong force. That force is, we are assuming with different theories. Say for example, electron pull theory is there. MOT is there, VBT is there. All these theory try to explain the nature of the bond, metallic bond. Clear? Of them, the best example or the best successful theory is nothing but metallic electron pool theory, or electron gas theory, or electron sea theory. As per this theory, all the metals are supposed to release their electrons, outermost electrons, and these electrons are from different atoms of the metal. They are, when the outermost electrons are coming out, and all these electrons are creating one pool, electron pool, and in this one the metal ions are supposed to bind together like this. So as per this metal, that is electron pool theory, metal ions are supposed to be present within the sea or the pool of electrons, and the strong attraction among these oppositely charged species is nothing but metallic bonding. And all the metals are the best example, like copper, gold, that is magnesium, and some other iron, or any alloys. All these are of best examples for metallic crystals. And now coming to molecular crystals. Molecular crystals are, it is seem to be similar to that of covalent crystals, but there is much difference among these. The molecular crystals, in molecules the atoms are bound together by covalent bond, no doubt at all. In molecules atoms are bound together with covalent bond. It is covalent bond. But in crystal, that means here when the molecules, the atoms are bound together with covalent bond, molecules can exist independently. These molecules are having independent existence. Not only molecules, if the atoms, if it is monoatomic molecule, then the atoms can also exist independently. Clear? And here the molecules in crystals, molecules are held together, with intermolecular force of attraction. This is the reason why these are again classified into two types. With molecule, within the molecule, atoms held together are bound together with covalent bond. It is normal chemical bond. But these molecules which can exist independently, best examples are for these molecular crystals, best examples are argon, CO2, and O2, nitrobenzene. All these are the best examples for molecular crystals. Clear? And these can exist independently. Similar to that, again other examples of H2O, HF, NH3, and amino acids. All these are also, they can exist independently and they can exist as a combined form, that is as a cluster they can exist in crystalline form. So that means the molecules in crystals are held together with intermolecular force of attraction. This intermolecular force, if it is van der Waals force of intermolecular attraction, then they are known as van der Waals crystals. Simply these are the best examples for this. And whereas some sort of van der Waals force is nothing but hydrogen bonding. If hydrogen bonding is the intermolecular force of attraction, then they are known as hydrogen bonding crystals. These are the best example for such type of hydrogen bonding crystals. Clear? That is about the classification of crystals. And before conclusion for today's session or in this session, let me give the highlighted points. The solid state, it is nothing but the state where the constituent particles of the substance held together with a strong intermolecular force of attraction, and in this one the constituent particles do not or cannot move random. Such state is known as solid state, and the characteristic features are high, that is incompressibility, high rigidity, and they possess a definite shape, and they are having mechanical strength. they are classified into two types depending on the orientation of the constituent particles. If they are randomly arranged, it is amorphous. If they are arranged in a systematic manner, then it is crystalline. And as random arrangement, amorphous is not taking any geometrical form. And whereas in crystal solids, there are some sort of systematic arrangement that leads to geometrical form of the crystal. Clear? And now in crystal solids, depending on the intermolecular attractions, that is depending on the bonding that exist among the constituent particles in the crystal, they are classified into ionic crystals, covalent crystals, metallic crystals and molecular crystals. The only difference between covalent crystal and molecular crystal is, in covalent crystal the components are not existing as independent molecules. They are nothing but simply we can say giant molecules. The molecular independent existence is not there. Best example, diamond, graphite, SiO2, all these are the best examples. And whereas in molecular crystals, the same covalent molecules that is among the atoms in a molecule is nothing but covalent bond. But these molecules in a crystals are having some sort of intermolecular attraction. Those attraction may be van der Waals attraction or it may be hydrogen bonding. In case if they are having a van der Waals attraction, such type of molecular crystals with a van der Waals attraction are known as van der Waals crystals, and they are of examples are these. And in case if that intermolecular attraction in molecular crystals are due to hydrogen bonding, then they are known as hydrogen bonding crystals. And the best examples are nothing but, as usual, we know all these compounds are possessing to be possessed by hydrogen bonds, is it not? So because of their hydrogen bond possessing, the intermolecular attractions are automatically hydrogen bonds, and these are the best example for hydrogen bonding crystals. Clear? In the next session we are going to consider the orientation when these ionic crystals or the covalent crystals, that is nothing but metallic crystals, are arranged. We have to find the neighboring atoms, that is nothing but with coordination number. What is the coordination number? How to find it in ionic crystals, and in case of metallic crystals, what is coordination number? How to guess it? All these we will discuss in the next session. Okay.